The diner was quiet that morning, the smell of burnt coffee mixing with the sound of rain tapping the windows. James sat in the corner booth, his old army jacket soaked, his hands wrapped around a chipped mug. He wasn't bothering anyone, just trying to stay warm. But when two officers walked in, everything changed. "Hey!" one of them barked. "You can't sit here unless you order something real." James looked up slowly. "I did," he said softly. "Coffee." The cop smirked. "That's not enough. This place isn't a shelter." The waitress tried to speak up, but the taller cop cut her off. "We've had complaints about people like him hanging around." People like him. Those three words hit hard. James's eyes darkened, but he stayed calm. He'd been through worse: combat, hunger, nights on the streets. But this was humiliation. "Sir, step outside," the shorter cop ordered, his hand resting on his belt. James didn't move. "You sure you want to do this?" he asked quietly. The taller one laughed. "Oh, we're sure. You think you can threaten us, old man?" James slowly pulled an old phone from his pocket, his thumb hovering over one number. He gave a small, tired smile. No threats. Just one call. They didn't take him seriously. Until the phone started ringing, and the diner went silent. A deep voice answered on the other end. "Colonel Davis speaking." James leaned back, his eyes still on the two cops. "Sir, this is Sergeant James Porter. I think we've got a situation here." The taller cop rolled his eyes. "Oh, please. You expect us to believe you were in the military." But before James could even reply, the diner's old radio buzzed with static, then the waitress's phone rang too. She picked it up, confused. "Ah, it's for you," she said, handing it shakily to the cop. He frowned and grabbed it. "Yeah, who's this?" "This is Colonel Davis, U.S. Army Command," the voice snapped through the speaker. "You're standing in front of a decorated combat veteran who saved 3 soldiers in Afghanistan. Put him back in that seat and apologize. Now." The cop froze. Everyone in the diner stared. The shorter officer's face went pale, his hand dropping from his belt. James didn't move, didn't gloat. He just looked at them, steady, quiet, calm. The kind of calm that comes from a man who's seen real war. The colonel's voice thundered again. "And one more thing, tell your chief that Sergeant Porter's record still sits in my office. I'll be visiting soon." The call ended. The silence that followed was heavier than the rain outside. The taller cop's mouth opened, but no sound came out. His partner tried to speak, stuttering, "Yes, sir, we didn't know, we were just." James finally stood up, his jacket dripping onto the floor. "You were just what?" he asked softly. "Doing your job. Or judging someone who didn't look like you." The diner was so quiet you could hear the rain hitting the roof. A few customers who had been watching now stared down at their plates, ashamed they hadn't spoken up earlier. The waitress stepped forward, eyes full of regret. "Sir, I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have been treated like that." James gave her a small smile. "You didn't do anything wrong, ma'am. Some people just forget that uniforms change, but respect shouldn't." The taller cop swallowed hard, realizing how bad things had gotten. "Look, maybe we can just forget this happened." James cut him off. "You'll forget. But I won't. And neither will your department." He reached into his jacket pocket again, this time pulling out a folded document, an official notice with the seal of the Veterans Affairs Office. He placed it on the counter. "I've been offered a position as Veteran Outreach Coordinator for this city," he said quietly. "Guess who signs off on police community training now?" The cops looked at each other, stunned. The shorter one whispered, "Oh, no." James turned toward the door, his voice steady as thunder rolled outside. "Next time you see someone struggling, don't see a problem. See a person." Then he walked out into the rain, leaving the whole diner frozen in silence. As James stepped into the rain, the cold drops hit his face, but for the first time in a long while, he didn't feel small. He felt seen. The diner door swung shut behind him, and inside, the cops stood like statues, until the waitress spoke up, her voice sharp now. "You two should be ashamed. That man's been eating here for months. He helps me take out trash, fixes our generator when it breaks, and you treated him like dirt." The taller cop rubbed the back of his neck, trying to steady his breath. "We didn't know who he was. That's the problem," she snapped. "You only respect people when you know who they are." Outside, James walked down the block, his boots splashing through puddles. He could still hear the echo of those words in his head. He'd seen this too many times, men in power who thought badges gave them permission to forget decency. Just then, his phone buzzed again. A message from Colonel Davis. Greater than, it's handled. Chief wants a full report. Those two won't be wearing badges much longer. James stopped under an old streetlight and exhaled. Not satisfaction. Just quiet relief. Justice didn't always come loud, but when it did, it spoke for everyone who'd ever been looked down on. At the diner, the cops walked out, faces pale, while the crowd whispered. And behind the counter, the waitress wiped the table where James had sat, whispering to herself, some heroes don't need uniforms anymore. Meanwhile, James looked up at the gray sky and murmured, I fought for this country, not for medals, but for the right to sit in peace.